Every woman's journey to the altar begins with the same dream: a perfect wedding and a happy marriage that will last a lifetime. Unfortunately, society sometimes programs the wrong mindsets into women, leaving them with the wrong expectations about marriage. In this video, we'll explore the poor mindsets that women need to get rid of before marriage. So without further ado, let's get started. Number 1. No marriage without fights. For too long, women have been taught that a happy marriage has to come with a few inevitable fights, and that it is practically part of the package. Unfortunately, most people are often raised by parents who only experienced fights and toxicity in their relationships, and never modeled what a healthy marriage is like. And so this toxic mindset has been passed down from generation to generations, programming people to expect feuds and arguments in their relationships. In fact, some parents go to the lengths of teaching their children to fight in their relationships. The idea that relationships must contain fights is toxic and destructive. When you carry this mindset into your marriage, you are basically building a foundation in which your marriage will forever be riddled with fights, even where not necessary. No matter how hard you try, the mindset will often limit you from true marital bliss. Marriage is designed to be a blessing, not a curse. You must break free from this mentality and give yourself permission to fully receive the blessings of marriage. There is no rule in the Bible or in life that states that every relationship must have a fight. In fact, marriage is meant to be a blessing from God, a union between two people who love and cherish each other. You shouldn't view it as a place to exchange fights or compete with each other, but rather as a sacred commitment to honor and respect your spouse. Marriage is a gift and should never be viewed through the lens of discontentment. God never created marriage as a tool of division, but rather as a way to bring love and joy into our lives. He lovingly created marriage and saw it as pure and holy, a blessing and not a curse. To rid ourselves of these negative ideas, we must start to appreciate the beauty of marriage and focus on the positive aspects. Number 2. A man is meant to be just a provider. Before tying the knot, women need to get rid of the mindset that a man's sole existence is only limited to him being a provider. While it is true that men are traditionally viewed as the head of the household, whose primary role is to provide, this should never override the true value of a man's worth. There is more to a man than just being a cash machine. Think about other aspects of what makes him a man. Think of his values, his personality, or what makes him a great husband, as well as other positive aspects he brings into your life. Because when a woman puts too much emphasis on a man being nothing but just a giver, it makes him feel used and abused. Over time, he might gradually lose respect for you because he subconsciously feels the only reason you're with him is because of his cash. A man wants to feel valued, appreciated, and respected for who he is. He wants to feel like his contribution to the relationship isn't just about his pocket. Also bear in mind that just because a man is the sole provider in your home doesn't mean you shouldn't support him financially. Even if you do expect your husband to provide, try never to make him feel that's what he is all about. This is why so many women experience pain and rejection in their marriages. Because the only conversation they ever bring up at home is when it has to do with money. And if he doesn't give, they hurl insults at him and make him feel useless. Indeed, it is mandatory that a man takes care of his home, but don't limit the marriage down to what he has to offer. If he gives, thank him and appreciate him. But if he doesn't, still remain respectful instead of stripping him of his title as a man. Number 3. All men are cheaters. Women are often trained or taught to believe that all men are born cheaters. This has built a subconsciousness in the minds of most women to believe there are no longer good men out there who can still be faithful to their spouses. And so it has programmed most women to subconsciously expect their men to cheat at some point in their marriages. In reality, not all men are cheaters. It all comes down to who you choose to marry and the individual's character. Society may have portrayed men as rough and untrustworthy, but this isn't true for every man. There are still good men out there who value their integrity and are committed to their spouses. But when you enter into a marriage with the mindset that all men are cheaters, you often start to exhibit suspicious behaviors that could lead to fights and arguments in the relationship. Even when he is truly innocent, you will keep seeing signs of cheating. No matter how much good there is, you can always find something bad if you look for it. If you always look for reasons to make you believe a man is unfaithful, the devil will always make sure you find thousands of reasons to doubt him. Just because you may have had a bad experience in the past doesn't mean all men are born cheaters. Go into marriage with a clean and pure perspective, giving everyone the chance to show themselves for who they are, rather than you building a wrong profile based on preconceived notions. Number 4. Married just to be taken care of. It is true that a man must love the woman he marries and therefore take care of her. But it's a dangerous mindset to go into a marriage with the mentality of being a princess, waiting to be taken care of like a child requiring a babysitter. Marriage is not just about being pampered, it's about purpose and taking responsibility. A real woman doesn't enter into marriage because she wants to be pampered, but rather because of the purpose and value she also brings to the relationship. She goes in with the intent of taking care of her husband, just as he goes in with the intent of taking care of her. Marriage is not just about receiving, it's about also giving. It's not just about being served, it's about serving. This is what makes a marriage truly special, and a partnership that lasts a lifetime. Too many women have been wrongly programmed to enter into marriage, making them believe they will have to do nothing other than being pampered. Unfortunately, that's not how a real marriage works. Think of marriage like flying a plane. Your husband is the pilot, and you, as the wife, is the co-pilot. Together, you both share the responsibility of flying the plane. This means a real woman is tough enough to understand that marriage is all about balance and responsibility, and not just a place where you do nothing. Number 5. Lack of due diligence. Imagine this. You're swept off your feet by a charming prince who promises you the world. You're so caught up with the excitement of it that you forget to ask the hard questions. You ignore all the red flags and brush aside your gut instincts, thinking love conquers all. But as the years go by, you start to realize you married a stranger, a person who doesn't share your values, who lacks empathy and understanding, a person who makes your life miserable day in and day out. This scenario has become all too common for many women. They fall for the Hollywood version of relationships, forgetting to address real concerns and issues during the courting process. You get caught up in external veneers like nice cars or fancy clothes, but it's infinitely more important to focus on the inner qualities of your partner. Relationships is not just about having fun and going out on fancy dates. Real relationships deal with real-world scenarios. You have to realize just because a man is nice during the early stages doesn't mean he will necessarily be that nice later on. You have to realize that this is the person you will be spending the rest of your life with, and so you have to do your due diligence before committing yourself to them. Don't be afraid to ask hard questions. This is your future we are talking about, and you have no time to waste. Ask honest, probing questions about their views on life in general. These are the things that make up the core of a person, and you must know if they align with yours. If his views and values don't align with yours, don't be afraid to sign off. It is better to be single and happy than to be married to a total stranger. Take your time to dig deep into his mindset. Don't just get carried away by the gifts and charm. Find out his views about life, family, and children. Watch how he responds under pressure. Ask him about his vision and future aspirations. Most importantly, never commit yourself to a man without getting God's approval. Number 6. Independent spirit. Modern women are trained to be independent. This is good, but it can be damaging when it becomes extreme. When you are getting married, you must realize that the relationship is no longer just about you. You have to consider the fact that you are coming under a man's authority. When you become too independent to the point you feel you don't need a man's opinion, or you no longer see the need of your husband's opinion, you are setting a fire you won't be able to put out. The book of Ephesians tells us about the power of submission. Being submissive doesn't mean you are a slave. It simply means you understand the revelation behind humility. If you want a happy marriage, you must remove the independent mentality. If you don't see the need of a man in your life, then you should not be married at all. Or if you can't submit to a man, you should not be married, because a huge part of marriage requires submission and collaboration from both parties. Number 7. A cure for loneliness. Loneliness is a deep and complex emotion that can't be solved by simply having someone by your side. A woman who enters into marriage with the wrong expectations, hoping to escape loneliness, is setting herself up for disappointment. She may be in for a shock when she realizes that being married does not guarantee an end to her feelings of loneliness. Loneliness is not the absence of someone by your side. It's the void you feel when there's no one to fill the gap. A partner cannot fill this void if you are not emotionally healthy to begin with. It is very possible to be married to a man and yet remain the most lonely woman on the planet. This is why it is important to have your own person before getting married. This way, you don't put a lot of weight on your partner expecting him to keep you lifted up all the time. Remember, there will be times when your husband or partner might not live up to your expectations. At that time, you will have to rely on God to fill your tank of loneliness. Remember, marriage is not the cure for loneliness. It's a commitment that should be entered into with the right mindset and expectations. If you're feeling lonely, don't rush into marriage thinking it will solve your problems. Take the time to work on yourself and build a fulfilling life. And when the right person comes along, you'll be ready for a healthy and happy relationship. So there you have it. Thank you for watching. If you love our videos, please feel free to subscribe to our channel.